Okay guys, so I really, one second. Okay. It's okay, don't worry. Enjoy yourself, my friend, enjoy yourself. Just don't know what that was. There's a guy standing there smoking and drinking beer. Who cares? Fallen state, right? Fallen society. I'm one of them, I guess. I'm guilty of it, although I don't drink or smoke, thank God. Actually, why do I not drink and smoke? Well, I think the reason was why I stopped these things was because these things would disconnect me from God. Being connected with truth and in authority is a very subtle process. It's a spiritual eye within you. If you think of the outside eye as being this thing where if you look at something, it gets engraved in your mind. The image literally enters your mind. Yeah, you look at something, it enters your mind. It enters your mind's eye. So the spiritual eye is more sensitive than that. Way more. And if the spiritual eye is way more sensitive, that means you've got to be very careful about what you put in, not only the eye of the mind, but the eye of the body and the soul. And whatever enters your mind or body is going to enter your soul in all respects. And this is how it happens. It will take you over. It will come into you, and it will, like a serpent, it will enter into you and it will have its way with you. So you've got to be very careful about what you look at and what you do and what you give and what you eat and all these things. So when you smoke or you drink or you watch meaningless entertainment like doom scrolling, or you read stupid things, or you listen to too much music. I listen to music occasionally, but I know why the Muslims have said it's bad. I know why they've said it's illegal, why you shouldn't do it. Because it is, right? And to Westerners, we might think, oh my God, that's the most atrocious thing in the world. But when you explain it properly and you understand it and you have experienced it, I think is key as well, it makes sense. It draws you away outside from your inner self, draws you outside of truth, draws you outside of your inner authority, which is the kingdom of heaven within yourself. It does. Music does do that. If music doesn't allow the kingdom of heaven to grow within you, then it's doing the opposite. It's taking it away from you. And any action that we do that takes us away from the kingdom of heaven, that takes us away from ourselves, that takes us away from what we know to be true, it's a sin. The action itself is, well, not a sin, but it leads to sin. Because sin is the separation between us and God. An act of sin puts us in a state of sin. So the sin is really an action that leads to sin. But anyway, why am I making this video? I'm making this video to talk about prayer and how prayer and the divine and God and you collaborate together to truly answer your prayers. Look at the law of attraction. The law of attraction is real, but the law of attraction is only real because God answers your prayers. You make a prayer to God. You don't do it yourself. You ask the universe. You ask God to help you achieve something. That's called a prayer, man. Like, that's a joke that we have forgotten prayer and forgotten God, but we changed the name to Source, and what a joke, really, what a joke. But anyway, prayers work, bro. Prayers work. You might just not be ready for the prayer, that's why it's not being answered. Or if you've come to the author of all good, maybe he's just not decided, but he understands from a divine place, which you don't understand because you are too tiny to understand it, that it's not good for you maybe at this time or even ever. Right? I'm not saying ever, because never say never, but it might not be good for you, what you're asking for. Or you might not be good for it. Right, you might be wanting a job or a spouse or God, it's so loud, man. This is jokes. I need to go to quiet places when I make these videos. I can't just do it out in the open anymore, man. Thing is, I get an urge. As I'm walking out of the house, I get an urge to want to speak, and that's why I'm talking. But man, my best videos come when I'm in silence. They don't ever happen when I'm out here just talking, man. There's so much distraction. But anyway, let's just focus on the positive. I'm on a train of thought. Let's focus on it. So the prayers get answered, right? I actually asked God yesterday. Well, I didn't ask God. I asked ChatGPT. But hey, I asked ChatGPT to act as if it was God. Right? It's obviously not God, but it gives you an inkling as to maybe how a divine presence would act according to a very highly advanced artificial intelligence. Gee, what? It's just gotten so much louder as I've gotten outside. Like, for real. What's going on? It sounds like World War III, mate. I'm surprised there's no diggers making sounds as well. Right. Jeez, we're just on a roll today. So, you know, God is preparing you, man. God's preparing you for what you've asked for. And believe it. And what does Jesus say? He said, well, not Jesus, but one of the New Testament epistles says that he who doubts is like the wind, a double-minded man. He will not receive anything from the Lord because he doubts, he doesn't believe. That is so true. So believe. I'm being real with you. Believe that you will receive the answer, that you will receive what you've asked for, and that you are receiving it. And hey, look, if you're doubting so badly, go ask the Maker for a sign. He's a generous Lord. Just focus on your faith, really. Just focus on that. Don't even focus on anything else. Focus on deepening and making that faith rock solid. What did Christ say? He said that he who hears my words and it falls onto good soil and it ripens to produce 8, 16, 48 ears of corn. This is the one who hears my words and it will actually make a difference for him. But then there's other people where it scatters and it falls on thorns, but they care too much about worldly things. And then there's other ones where it falls on the rock. It's just deaf ears, doesn't do anything. What a man, Jesus! What a man! What a great man! What an awesome man! He was a teacher, and the best teachers, they teach in parables and metaphors. The best teachers, they don't just tell you it straight. Although sometimes, for the more dumb, it's good to teach in just straight verse. But hey, to he who wishes to understand, the metaphors work so much better. Like, if you look at the Bible, oh Lord, if you look at the Bible, it's all metaphors. It's all metaphors, man. Abraham leaving his house, going into a dangerous land to fulfill the Lord's testimony. This is all a metaphor. Okay, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't happen. It doesn't matter. What matters is it's a metaphor that we are meant to emulate. That according to God's faith, he listened to what God said, and with fidelity and faith, he walked forward into the fire, despite the physical, mental, psychological harm that was bound to happen. But he believed the vision of his Lord was so much that he walked in faith, and the reward was descendants and being made great amongst nations and all of that. That right there is the story. That's the story of us as man, as woman, who are following God and who are meant to give up our understanding, our satanic and serpent-like conventions and creations in our minds and the pride of the intellect, the pride of life, as Christ says, give that up, and to follow the Lord. Not the Lord. Where is the Lord? But follow the visions of truth that we know to be truth in our heart that we need to act on. 90% of this is getting in touch with that. Meditation, reading scripture, but not reading scripture like an obedient scholar, right? You know, I once considered becoming a scholar because I was so useless. I was like, I don't really know what else to be other than a reader and teacher of books. But I've always known in my heart and in my mind, deep down, that, and everyone else looked at me and was like, wow, he reads so much, he's so knowledgeable, he's so intelligent. And I saw it the opposite. I sometimes even had a vision where I looked at all the books and I said, I want to burn them all, because this is just me being lazy, not thinking for myself. This is me wanting to read other people's ideas and trying to accumulate them, like because I can't use my own brain, or I'm not using my own brain. And I also saw it as a fact that I couldn't generate ideas for myself, so I've got to take other people's ideas. So it's laziness, and it's also just incompetence now. So I kind of saw the negative side of reading books, and I had so many. I was like, what are you doing with your life? What are you doing with your time? Why are you reading so many books? You know, a book reader who spends most of his time reading books is not someone who I would like to be. You know, it's a bit limited in its scope, let's put it that way. Limited in its ability to also be authentic, because you're just taking somebody else's ideas. So that's not authentic. That's the opposite of authenticity. That's duplicity. That's plagiarism. Anyway, a lot of what I'm saying right now is inspired by Rowe Masters, who has loads of cool videos on YouTube where he talks about this stuff. But at the end of the day, look, why are we on self-development? We want self-knowledge. We want to know who we are, and we want to know what we're here to do, and that's ultimately going to come from coming back to God. And Masters puts it really nicely. He says that what happened was in some stage in our life, we submitted to an authority that was not God. There was an authority figure in our life that came and made us doubt ourselves and stole our God-given ability to depend on God in fidelity, and it made us substitute that authority for another authority, which was a human authority, which was a false God. And because we fell to this lower self, we now have a serpent-like quality in our mind from this experience, which is ultimately satanic, which wants us to always take false gods as God and never the one true God. This is what the story of Lucifer is all about. This is the story which is designed to teach us that, I guess. But anyway, prayers do get answered. I'll leave you with that.